Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Motherland, Fort Salem. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, we're immediately picking up where the last episode left off. They were able to get Nikda's location. I was actually surprised too. I wonder, is it just kind of a known thing that Nikda's the leader of the spree? Because I was curious about that, because it's like, and it's just like, because Sarah just like casually dropped Nikda's name. I'm like, oh, like I guess like her connection to the army and everything has kind of been wiped from the record, but maybe higher up people know. Because I'm trying to think, like, has her name, like when Abby was talking, I mean when Tally was talking to Abby's mom, I'm trying to remember, did she ever call Nikda by name? I don't remember. Knew there was I don't remember she ever referenced Nikda by name. So it's like, it just seemed interesting just out of nowhere. But maybe it's like, maybe Sarah's thought was like, oh, I can drop the name now because, yeah, I'd be like, we got this information from, I don't know. Because she casually drops it later on too, and I'm like, was it a known thing that the leader of the spree's name was Nikda? Was that like a higher up secret that not everyone knew? Was it just like enough people knew, they just didn't know about obviously the past, because Sarah did a lot to clear that past away? Makes you wonder who. I mean, maybe Sarah's powerful enough on her own just to make that happen, but I would feel like you'd have to have some allies in wiping Nikda from history. But maybe like Sarah's the only one alive anymore that knows Nikda, and anyone else, it would just be history books. So all you have to do is change the history a little bit. You know, history is written by the winners, right? So it's like you can kind of make it turn out however you want to. Obviously, she made the martyrdom look like what it really wasn't. So, but I thought it was interesting is like, obviously with Tally's sight, it's like, right, you're going to be the one that going after Nikda, but Tally's like, I'm not going anywhere without Abby and Rael by my side. Now, my immediate thought was she probably, now the justification could just be simply like, nah, I want my sisters by my side when I do this. Two, it could be like, I need people I can trust on my side, because I don't know what kind of shenanigans you have, because I know your secret about Nikda. You don't know that I know that. But also there's a part of me that's like, could it also stem from like, I also want Rael nearby, because I see that you have her, you labeled her as your asset. She's not more than a witch bomb to you, a weapon. So I want her by my side, so me and Abigail can continue to look after her, because she's in much safer hands with us than you. Because like obviously the Camarilla will get to her anywhere, but also like I don't want you to be anywhere near her alone. So I think that's what that might stem from. But also, we're not bringing Nikda in alive. We're killing her until Abigail's mom steps in and is like, no. Obviously, we need this truth to come out. So whatever it is, she's not all that fond of Sarah. We've seen it since season 1 that she's one of the people that's been pining to try and take Sarah's position, because a lot of people are starting to resent the way Sarah's been running things. I mean, you've been in control of things for like 300 plus years. So obviously, it's about time to kind of pass the reins to someone else. But it's like, yeah, she always has to kind of flex and remind people, even later on, letting Abigail know, it's like, Abigail's mom know, hey, this is my army. Don't ever forget that. So I was like, you've held on to that power a little too long, and it's corrupted you, because you've done a lot of shady stuff. Some of the stuff we're not aware of, a lot of it we are, because we've seen it firsthand, whether it's just the stuff you just did naturally over the course of the show, like taking control of the president to get her to say what you want, or rewriting history to fit the narrative you want it to, in the case of, Tally kind of unraveling all of that. But now Abigail's mom knows everything that Tally knows, so there's that. And cut to Tally, Adil, as well as Rael and Scylla. Now, obviously, Abigail being like the protective sister she is, it's like Rael needs to rest, and like Scylla's like, get out of my way, and Rael is like, it's okay, and Abigail's like, all right, I'm gonna be in the next room if you need it. It's like, oh, look at you kind of playing the role of sis and bestie/sis. I like that. But Adil and Abigail kind of deal with the aftermath of what happened. And for him, for Adil, it's a situation where like he understands kind of, it's like, right, we did the right thing, but it still is in conflict with what he's lived his life as. But it wasn't just what Abigail was saying that made, like, he kind of went along with it because he wanted revenge too. But it's like, that's not what his people were about. And he's like, I don't think my sister's going to see things the way I do. Like it's like he realizes like, yeah, we saved those children, we saved Rael, and we stopped some very bad people from hunting our people down. But it's like, it still doesn't change the fact is I killed people. You know, I'd never done that before. I've never used my powers in that way. And now I have, and it changes everything, you know? So, but you have Abigail kind of making him realize like, you know, you're not in this alone. Like, no matter what happens, I'm right by your side through it all. Obviously, Rael's got to deal with the aftermath of like, you know, for her, she brought up that with Scylla, she's talking about that thing of like her and her mom would try to think of each other at the same time. Because it's like no matter where she was, she could always think like my mom is thinking of me this very second, just like I'm thinking of her. You know, so that. And that's the sad thing, that no matter what her mom's reasons may have been, like, she will never get that time back. It's like, at any point in time, my mom could have revealed herself, spree or not. But it's like, yeah, but she wanted to protect you. And it's like, but the thing, she even sacrificed her life for you. So that's, you know, you so much of, like, you spent so long, like, it broke you and your dad losing her, and now it's like you find out she was alive, but now just when you find out she's alive, she's gone again. But to know that she's been alive this entire time with the spree killing people, so that obviously can't make you feel good. And it's just like, because in her mind, she had one image of who her mom was, and now knowing that there was a different version of herself of her mom that she didn't know, never get a chance to know. Her mom isn't alive for her to get mad at and yell at her, and even them to potentially fix the relationship. Like, that's all taken away. And that's the thing for Rael. It's like, she didn't give me a choice. Trying to protect me, whatever the case may be, she didn't give me a choice. It was my choice to decide whether or not I was going to take her back into my life or not. But it's like, she never gave me that choice. She hid away from me, and the moment she pops back in my life, it's just to die again, and you know, for me, you know, so that's going to leave you with a whole complicated sort of feelings. But obviously Tally shows up, hugs both of them, happy to see them again. But it's like, cool, seeing Scylla not too happy. Obviously he's had a major bone to pick with Scylla since like she found out Scylla was spree back in season 1. Like she's had a bone to pick with her, but it's like, right, we're gonna go after Nigda, we're gonna capture her, which Rael and Abigail are all about. Like, yeah, like there needs to be like a revolution. Like Sarah's kind of run things long enough, and we don't like the way Sarah's been running things. So if Petra wants to step up, let her. But then like Abigail's like making it clear anytime Scylla's opening her mouth, it's like, no, you're gonna shut up. Like, you have no part to play in it. You're not gonna get mixed up in this. But Rael and Tally say like, regardless of anything, she needs to come along because she is spree, so she'd understand like Scylla better. I mean, she'd understand Nigda better than anyone. She know how to help us. And even for Tally, it's like, I don't trust her fully, but her saving Rael is enough for me to know where her loyalties lie. So she'll bring her along. But Abigail's just like, you one mistake and you're dead. And I will take care of you myself, Necro. And I'm like, and once again, because Scylla doesn't help herself. Well, she's got like a smug smile on her face. Like, oh, I'm scared. It's like, no, you should be. It's not, because it's not like Rael's completely forgiven you in that regard. But as they're shipping out and they land in enemy territory, sadly each one of them falls under Nigda's spell, and it's a combination of all of them seeing kind of what they want. It's kind of like their deepest desires being shown to them, yet distorted. So in Rael's case, it's like, oh, her mom's alive and she's being able to sit down with her dad. But then it's like the twisted version of like her like insecurities and doubts about her mom being like, oh, like my biggest mistake was like marrying him, and my mistake even bigger than that was having you. So all the stuff Rael wouldn't want to hear, like all like these insecurities, and just like kind of like it's taking that want and that desire and that like longing and warping it into something distorted to the point like obviously almost forcing Rael to kill herself, because the knife her mom's holding against her throat is actually Rael doing it. It's like, that's pretty rough. But I guess it's like in Nigda's case, in Nigda's defense, it's like, you guys are from the army and you come to capture me. Well, you probably come to kill me, but it's like, Sarah sent you, so I'm not going to sit there and wait to find out like what you guys have planned or whatever. So I think that is what that kind of comes down to. For Tally, there is that slight desire of like, yeah, despite her issues with Alder, there's still part of her, you know, having been Biddy at one point in time. It's like there is a part of her that is kind of longing for it. Like there's still that pull and tug where she's like, yeah, I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't mean to disrespect you. It's like, right, you're calling Alder out and everything, but in this world you're just kind of like, you kind of like feel like, but it's like the moment Alder kind of touches her and just like she feels that connection again. And it's like, she's like, I've had biddies, many biddies over the centuries, but she's like, that connection between you and me, it's special. I should have never severed it. So you have the honor of being my biddy again, which Tally's like, I don't want that anymore. And she's like, oh, but you will, or whatever. She's kind of being forced into being a biddy again. First and foremost, like I said, I think on some small level, there was, for a while, Tally wanted that, but that's not the case anymore. I mean, it's a thing of like, she used to admire Sarah heavily. Like, that's why she believed in, like, what they fought for, their cause and everything. Obviously, like, her perception of the army and who Sarah is have all been warped now because she's kind of learned a lot of very unsavory things about Sarah. Like I said, the season 1 finale, they were in a better position, but then it was kind of like that kind of got taken back, like, during this season. But I think on some small level, maybe there's a part of Tally because of the whole thing being a biddy that kind of wanted, but more often, but because of what she knows is like, no, I don't want to be under your servitude again. Now I know like what you're capable of and who you really are and what you've done. I never want to just be blindly following you like your biddies are kind of forced to. Like, I'm not about that anymore. So luckily they were to save Tally. It's interesting, the only person that was kind of safe from all of this was Scylla, but even she can be affected by it. I guess like because Nick does like a stronger person, so the more power she's pumping out, the more powerful the illusions are. But in the case of Scylla, because even Raelle was initially like, oh, how did you break free of it? And Scylla's kind of reluctant to answer. She's like, because you've used this type of work before, so you know firsthand what how to break it, the cracks in it, how to see through it. I am curious, what did Scylla see? We never got to find out what that was. I'd assume it's something related to Raelle, but I guess that just kind of gets lumped up to our imagination. But and then finally you have Abigail, like her thing of like showing her family cheering on. I'm like, oh my god, keep it going, Abigail. She's creating her powerful work, but it goes out of control and she ends up killing her family. So once again, your desires and your wants becoming a twisted nightmare. And luckily Raelle and Tally were able to snap her out of it. It's like, shitbird, get it together. And Tally being like, who are you? It's like, who are you? And she's just kind of like, I'm, Abigail Bellwether. And it's like, right, she finally snapped back to it. So obviously this whole expedition ended up opening up a lot of wounds, especially because when they went into the cabin, because the bats were like, you could tell immediately, like when the bats start flying around again, Tally like, it's like, oh, I hate flying things. And then they start like taking jabs at each other, that you're like, oh, okay, the bats have to be, I mean, to be fair, all it takes is sound for like the spree spells to work. That's why the balloon pop does what it does, or what is in a glass bottle that shatters. Like the bats acted as balloons or bottles in this particular case, and their sounds were like, because as Scylla had said earlier, she was like, I'm familiar with this work, but not to this scale, because Nicta is using all of these multitude of bats to like focus and amplify her work, so it's stronger and it's happening in a wider area. Can we find out like the other members of the strike team? Sadly, all the like main characters get to survive, but the other people don't. They weren't as lucky. I mean, once again, the only reason why any of them are still alive is because Scylla saved them. I mean, to be fair, the only one that would have survived anyway would have been Raelle. We've seen, like, no matter what, she would have come back from the dead regardless. So, but everyone else would have sure been dead. So if they didn't have Scylla, so it lucked out that they did bring her. It was the tactical, the right tactical decision in this regard, and it paid off because they survived. Granted, everyone else didn't. But in that house, they all like start tearing into each other. Oh, Raelle, the only thing special about you is you being a bomb, and that Abby like freaks out every time someone mentions the word Camarilla. Then obviously some of that venom heads towards Scylla's direction, and Scylla kind of passes it back. Tally's biggest thing was just kind of saying, screw you guys. And I guess the biggest thing for that too is because Tally's all because she's the most like, hey, we're together, we're a unit, we're a family. So I guess like it making her want to walk away from all of them is kind of like is the biggest middle finger you can get from Tally. It's her not fighting or arguing or hitting or punching you. It's walking away. And then she has a confrontation with Nicta. Nicta's obviously not in a talking position because for her, once again, it's just like, you're here to take care of me because you're one of Sarah's little dogs. It's like, that's all she can see. That's all she cares about right now. So she's not willing to listen to Tally being like, hey, your story's going to be put out there. We're not here to kill you. She's like, oh, thanks for not coming here to kill me. But those eyes of yours are pretty dangerous, so I'm going to have to destroy them. So they go toe to toe, but things don't go Tally's way. I am curious at what point in time did it happen. Well, because obviously Nicta can't do too much of like controlling that work, on such a massive scale and fighting Tally. It's not possible, so she had to let go. So by the time the others arrived, you have Tally with a rock in her hand. I was like, oh. I was like, did I really? I mean, we heard, it sounded like it was Tally screaming, but then it was like later on, it's like, no, it was Nicta screaming. So I'm like, okay. I was like, oh, was this resolved? And then like the moment Nicta wakes up and she's kind of like trying to point her hand. I was like, oh, okay, so that's Tally. They switched. And at first I was like, did they switch bodies or something? Then I was like, no, idiot. Of course they did the, Nicta did the swapping faces thing. Like, I mean, like, that's the number one spree move. I mean, she is the leader of the spree. Like, what the spree is able to do all came from her work. So, you know, that's like her, like their number one move of like doing the like, lighter, like flame switching her face thing is like, of course that's like her number one tactic. So immediately I was like, yeah, I was hoping they'd find out a little bit sooner, but you could tell immediately Tally wasn't acting like herself. So obviously all of them are trying to apologize for all that they said to each other, and even Rael being like, what we said, the sad thing is we have everything we said was something we've all thought at one point in time, but our greatest strength is our sisterhood, like us being that our bond is going to surmount no matter what we felt in the past, no matter that we thought that at one point in time, we are sisters, we're in this together, and that's what matters the most. I like that, just the growth of that relationship, and it's just sad that you're having this heart-to-heart moment with fake Tally over here. Rael and the whole Scylla thing, now that was, I was like the moment she walked away from Scylla the first time, because it like first it seemed like, oh, they were getting close and going to kiss, but she walked away. I was kind of like, that's good. And like, despite, I mean, to be fair, Scylla has changed, yes, but, and yes, she saved all your lives and everything, but it's still kind of like I mean, she doesn't believe in what the spree believes anymore, because for her, it's like, regardless, this isn't about like stopping the army and like, you know, and everything. It's about stopping the number one enemy, because at the end of the day, they might have their differences and beliefs, like those in the army doing those in the spree. They have their like different fundamental beliefs, but at the end of the day, we're all witches in a war against the Camarilla. They come first and foremost, which I said it for the past 2 episodes. It makes Nicta's situation like very, very vindictive, because it's like an even greater threat is out there, but I guess in her mind, the Camarilla comes second because, like I said, her hate for Sarah runs that deep, or she just believes that Sarah's even more of a threat than the Camarilla. I don't believe that. Yes, Sarah's got her complications, and yes, you might want to take her out of the position that she's in, but it's still the Camarilla who've, you know, done more damage to witches than I think Sarah has. Yes, Sarah calls her own casualties and everything, so have you as well, but I mean, because I think Nicta will probably be like, yeah, I've done what I've done, but I've done what I've done in response to Sarah. So I might have blood on my hand, but I am only who and what I am now because of Sarah, in spite of Sarah. So like, that's why I'm also like, yeah, all right. I'm a little okay with like Rael kind of wanting to kind of continue. It's like, still the thing of she lied to you and everything, but she's come through for you on multiple occasions. She helped come and rescue you. She's been there. Like, she is the person you care about. I mean, that's also the thing too of like, yeah, the 2 people I care about most in the world ended up kind of betraying me. The 2 most important women in my life ended up betraying me and, you know, lying to me. And it's like, they're also part of the spree. So it's like, what does that say about me? the conversation becomes like, what is Scylla going to do? And there's still the Tiffany thing, so she's like, right, I'm going to find, at first I was like, is she going to try and raise Tiffany herself? It's like, no, I'm going to find her Dodger family. And, and then it's like, well, what are you going to do afterwards? It's like, find the camera and fight them because they're still out there. They're still a threat. That's what I have to do as my duty as a witch. But, you have, Rael saying like, right, you can, bring Tiffany to like my dad's house. And it's like, really? It's like, yeah, like you get a meal. I'll tell my dad you're on the way. I'm curious how much Rael's going to tell him. It's like, it's probably like, I'm better. It's probably like her dad deserves to know the truth, but I'm curious, will she be like, no, I have to save my dad. Like my dad's already had to grieve my mom. I don't want him to find out she was alive just to lose her again. And also find out that she's been been a part of a group that mass murders people like him, civilians. So probably don't want to open that wound. I think eventually she will, but we'll have to wait and see. But Rael's like, I want to know exactly where you are, so when this is all said and done, I can find you afterwards. And she ends up kissing, right? They both end up kissing. So I'm like, there's a part of me that's a little conflicted because I'm like, oh, all the bad stuff you got and pulled through. But hey, the heart wants what the heart wants. And despite everything, you were and always and have still been madly in love with Scylla, and she's madly in love with you. So it all works out. Because even Scylla's like, yeah, Rael may never forgive me, but all I want to do is protect her. So it's like, I'm willing to cut her some slack, but at the same time, I'm like, no, I want you to find someone else. Someone that isn't like, whose your entire relationship wasn't built on an entire lie, But once again, you love who you love, right? So, but on the way back, for Sarah, she doesn't get what she wants because even Petra's like, oh, you might want to be careful, Sarah. There's an audience here. And it's like, yeah, like I don't get to make sure you're dead, but hey, Nicta, you've been captured. The number one enemy, she will stand trial for what she's done. But then you have like, while everyone's stomping, both Rael and Abby notice Tally not doing it. They're like, something's up here. And she's like, oh, Nicta's like, oh, I'm going to get my revenge. I guess she figured like if she was Tally, that'd get her close enough because she figured, well, you must be the person that Sarah's kind of taking an interest in, so she was probably but like she let her need for revenge get the best of her because rather than just waiting for an opportunity to strike, rather than kind of blending in, she couldn't help herself. Like seeing Sarah, she's like, I have to take my chance. But Abby and Rael ended up taking her down, and Anacostia comes over and it's like, yep, we know how this whole thing works. Lights up the lighter, and there's Nicta, and she's like, oh, hi, Sarah. Looking surprisingly good, because Nicta's got a little gray in her hair, but Sarah looks just fine. Whole Biddy situation, so. I'm curious, I think that still might be her Biddy. They didn't make a point of it this episode of, like, she got a replacement Biddy, because it's like, I think they probably have to, because unwiring that obviously took a whole ordeal with Tally, and they were still after effects, so because that was also like a fresh enough situation. I'm like, it's been long enough that maybe that's not possible at this point. Maybe it's still possible because like, she's gonna have to find another Biddy because it's like either you let her stay locked up and like what kind of effect will that have on you? So many questions in that regard, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see where the next episode takes him, because she can't outright kill Nicta like she wants to, and obviously this presents Nicta to be in a position where she can run her mouth about everything. So it's going to be interesting to see how the next episode plays out with all of this, but really that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, low light to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.